Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Zaggertastic video. It is I, your friend, the one, the only Z, a single gut-erd, Zaggard, and I hope you all having a wonderful morning, noon, night, evening, whatever time it is for you today, and welcome back to another ADHD review. And today, we're talking about, a small little superhero film. Yeah, you may have heard of it, Deadpool and Wolverine. First of all, glad we finally got a film like this where we get to see Wolverine kind of being his full badass self with how violent his abilities would be. I mean, a man with knives in his knuckles, that would be pretty violent on the screen. But we've always had it kind of toned down because they were PG-13 movies. Violent enough to be cool, but not violent enough to really get comic book fans excited at times. Now, Hugh Jackman, obviously, he's been playing this role for over 10 years, and it ended with Logan, and, well, we'll get into what they do with Logan. It's pretty funny and pretty creative. Now, I know this video is coming out kind of late for a movie review, but that's kind of my style. I don't see movies the day they come out. In fact, I saw it August 3rd, and today is the 5th, so it's been a couple days. As you know, I like to give myself a couple days to kind of get all my thoughts together and then tell you what I think about it. So just TLDR, if you don't want to be spoiled, I loved this film. It was so much fun. Not sure if I like it more or about the same or less than the first one, but I definitely like it better than the second one. So if you like Deadpool, go watch it. If you like Wolverine, go watch it. If you like just Marvel movies or comic book movies in general, then you probably already saw it. You don't need this review. But that's my spoiler-less review. Now we're just gonna go straight into spoilers because I just want to talk about what I remember from this film, what I love, is there anything I hated, and just my overall kind of opinions about different sections. So the film immediately starts with this scene where we're seeing Deadpool digging up the dead body of Wolverine or Logan from the Logan film, and he's like, there's no way he's dead. That's not how regeneration works. And then we see the body and it's just an adamantium skeleton. Hilarious and probably accurate. And then a bunch of TVA people show up and they try to fight him, and he uses the body and different parts of the body as weapons to kill them in both cool action fashion and comedic fashion. Very Deadpool-esque. It was very well done, the whole choreography. During the whole fight, by the way, they're playing Bye 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 from the Backstreet Boys. Hilarious choice of music and very nostalgic for my early 2000s brain. And of course, we have Deadpool dancing in different shots in between the fights during the whole thing. Apparently, that was not Ryan Reynolds. That was a different dancer. It makes a lot of sense. Ryan Reynolds can move, but that guy was moving. So well done to whoever that dancer was. And then Wade tells us about what happened and how they got there. The first thing we see is him talking to Jon Favreau's character, Happy Hogan, from the main Marvel Cinematic Universe, and he's applying to become an Avenger. And they're like, look, you're not ready to be an Avenger yet. Which, yeah, Deadpool, I don't think has ever been an Avenger. I think for like 10 seconds in one comic, he was an Avenger. I don't really remember exactly. I have to look that up, or someone can tell me in the comments. Let me know if he's ever actually been an Avenger, but I don't think he has. Anyway, so he's told he's not going to be an Avenger, and then the next thing we see is he's just selling cars, and he's the worst car salesman because he swears all the time, and he has this toupee stapled into his head, because of course he can do that. He's Deadpool. It doesn't really hurt or harm him. And Wade is working with his friend Peter from the second film, and he's like, you got to get back out there. We're a crime-fighting duo. And he's like, no, I've given up that life. Vanessa told me she wanted me to become a real man, and maybe we'd get back together. So Vanessa broke up with him. Unfortunate. They constantly have that whole he's trying to get Vanessa back in each film, which a little repetitive, but it's fine. They do it different enough in each film for me to like it. So we're at a birthday party for Deadpool, and he's there with Peter, Vanessa, Colossus, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, Yuki, Dopinder, Blind Al, all of his friends and family who he's super close to are just hanging out there at his birthday party. And he's making jokes, and he's talking to Vanessa. She's seeing someone new, and he's just trying to be happy for her. And he's clearly not happy on the inside, but he's trying to, not let others see why he's upset. And so then there's a ring at the doorbell, and a bunch of TVA agents are there to take him in. And he starts making a bunch of jokes about them being strippers and a bunch of other dirty stuff that I don't want to say so I don't get demonetized. And so they take him to the TVA, and this one British guy is like, Deadpool, we want you to join us in the sacred timeline. So you're on a branch timeline. They explain the whole thing. If you haven't watched Loki, I'm not going to explain it here. But basically, for some reason, they're going to pull him out and put him in the main timeline. He's like, okay, cool. I'm kind of a 1 week on, 1 week off kind of guy, so I need like vacations every other week. And they're like, no, you see, you're coming here permanently. Your universe is dying. What? It lost its anchor being. I'm the anchor being? And they're like, no, you're not the anchor being. Logan is. And then they show the death scene from Logan. And they're like, because he died, your universe is going to eventually disappear. When a universe loses its anchor being, it stops existing. And he's like, well, how long do my friends and family have? Thousands of years normally. But I'm going to use this device that immediately obliterates it because the TVA is being too lazy to do what we were meant to do. Prune unnecessary timelines. And Deadpool's like, no, I'm immediately not doing that. And he takes his phone thing to go to his timeline, and that's where we get back to the fight, and that's why he was digging up Wolverine's body, because he was hoping bringing him back would save their timeline. So then instead he's like, well, if I can't use this Wolverine, I'm gonna go to every other timeline until I find a Wolverine I can use. And they go through a bunch of different versions of Wolverine from the comics, from the movies, almost all of them played by Hugh Jackman, except for one played by one great man who I would have loved to see him as Wolverine, but I can see why he's not doing it. I won't spoil it for you here. I'll wait till you see it yourself, if you haven't already. Normally, I don't care about spoilers, but I feel like this is one of those movies because it's kind of the end of a series. Tell me what you thought below of that first cameo. Loved it. Eventually, we get to a timeline where Wolverine is just sitting at a bar and he's drunk, and he hasn't immediately tried to kill Deadpool, hasn't beaten the crap out of him. You know, he's being fairly civil for a Wolverine. He's not being completely an ass. And Deadpool's like, yes, finally, one I can talk to. And everybody apparently hates Wolverine in this version. We don't know why. Obviously, he got some sort of sad backstory. And this is obviously a good thing. It's always good to give characters backstories that we can latch onto where we want to root for them. And when it's a sad backstory, it makes it easier for people to root for them, to want them to succeed, because we want them to be happy. If they're already happy, there's not much we need to do to root for them. They're already at a happy place. It's a very different type of movie than a superhero movie. And he gets knocked out because he's super drunk. And Deadpool's like, finally. And he brings him to the TV and he's like, okay, I got a Wolverine to bring our universe back. And when they show up to the TVA headquarters, Wolverine is wearing his comic book accurate yellow spandex costume. And I think, great. And even Deadpool's like, it only took you 20 years to do this. And I'm really glad to see him in it. It looks really good on him. Why they ever said it would look bad on Wolverine, I don't know. I guess back in like the 90s, it would have looked too goofy. I guess they had too much thoughts about like these costumes from Batman and Robin. So I don't know why they couldn't have given us this sooner. You guys all saw it from the trailers. You know what happened. You don't need me to tell you. And he's like, you think using a different Wolverine will save your universe? That's not how this works, Wade. And he's like, I don't care anyways. I want to destroy your timeline. I need to make the TVA better. And he's like, okay, let me talk to your bosses. And everybody goes silent. Like, you guys are doing this without your boss's help. Ooh, so if I tell them what you're doing, you're all out of commission, aren't you? And the bad guy immediately takes one of those zapper sticks from Loki and zaps him with it, which sends him to the void. And when they show up there, Wolverine is like, you mother effer, you brought me here, blah, blah, blah. And he's yelling at him. He's getting mad at him. He's like, don't worry, look, we can work together. You can save my universe by becoming part of it, and I can go back in time to fix whatever happened in your universe. And that calms him down. He's like, okay, fine. We'll work together. And now that Deadpool and Wolverine have been zapped into the void, this is the part of the movie where I would like to cut out spoilers for you, but I can't because they're integral to the plot. So now if you really don't want to be spoiled by any cameos or characters that show up, please leave, go see Deadpool and Wolverine, then come back here, okay? Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. So they land in the void and Deadpool's like, hey buddy, don't worry, and it'll be all fine. He's all mad at him and Wolverine's getting all upset and he's trying to stab him and they get in a fight. Deadpool stabs one katana through him and then another katana and he's like, baby knife, stabs him in the shoulder. And then a voice on a billboard goes, stop, we gotta work together. And you hear the voice and you immediately know I immediately knew. I don't know if everybody will immediately know, but I immediately knew. It was Chris Evans. I'm like, oh, maybe it's a Captain America cameo. And we see him in a cloak and I'm like, wait, no, that's not Captain America. The suit doesn't look right. It looks really blue. And some of you might have figured it out right away. I did. Some of my friends didn't. Claire didn't because she had never seen these films. Hint at what it is. And this kind of Mad Maxian style group of people kind of coming. And Deadpool's like, isn't that a little bit IP infringement-y? A little bit? Do we have to worry about that? Because, he's tickling the fourth wall. And then he's like, don't worry, if we work together, we can stop them. He's like, oh, he's going to say it. Avengers? And then you just hear him go, flame on! Because it's him as Johnny Storm from the Fantastic Four movies. And then, a bunch of mutants show up and they stop Johnny Storm. They suck out his fire. Deadpool and Wolverine get captured and they're being brought to this one villain. They keep saying, look, in the void, you're either eaten by Emmett or you work for her. There's a rebellion. I work for them. If we can get out of here and get to my rebellion, we can win. And we're driving and we see a giant Ant-Man body. And it's being used as like the gates, like the hands are blocking the front with the head down. It's like laid flat on the ground, chest flat that is. And the helmet opens up and inside we see is just a skeleton because of course Ant-Man is most likely dead. And Deadpool goes, Paul Rudd finally aged, that was a good joke. I like that one. And inside the helmet, there's a wheelchair that rolls up and then it stops at some stairs. So it stops right here. And it's Professor X's wheelchair. And we see a silhouette and both Deadpool and Wolverine go, is it Charles? And then the person stands up and walks down the stairs and it's a female Charles Xavier, his twin sister actually, Cassandra. And she just has super OP powers. She can just telekinesis everything. Nothing can really hurt her, it seems. She seems immortal from what I can tell. And then Deadpool says like, hey, this guy said all this terrible stuff about you. And she's like, really? You said that? And it's like, oh no, I didn't say, dude, he's setting me up. This isn't what happened. And she just all the skin and flesh off him and he just becomes a pile of just meat and bones. It's really brutal. And yikes, and it makes Deadpool look like a really bad guy because he kind of makes it look like he set him up, wink, but Wade keeps going, no, that's what he said. I did not get him killed. And Cassandra says like, oh, I was his twin, I ate him in the womb, and then even as soon as I was born as an infant, they dropped me in here into the void, and I've been fighting for myself ever since. And it's like, where'd you get the chair? Another Charles who came in. He didn't even try to find me. So I killed him and I took his chair. We get a lot of Deadpools. There's so many of you. We don't get any Wolverines. You're the first one. And she does this thing where she can put her hand into your head to read your thoughts. And it's really the visual on it is really good, really creepy. They do a great job of using that, not just to be like, oh, her hand is in your head, but like parts of her fingers will be sticking out through like an eyeball or a cheek or a nostril. It's really creepy the way they did it. they made her really look like a psychopath. And she says, well, you either get fed to Emmeth or you work for me, and, well, rent's due, and you're the rent, boys. And so they get on a rocket that she has there, and they start it up, and they fly away. And so they're walking through the void, and it just has, like, different biomes, just separate. Like, there's a desert, and then immediately from a desert, it goes to a cornfield. And they're walking through the cornfield, and they see this little dog running up with a Deadpool outfit. It's Dogpool, if you know who Dogpool is. It's supposed to be this really ugly dog that he loves. And he's like, oh, look at this cute, sweet thing. And then another Deadpool shows up, but this time he doesn't have the helmet, and he just has Ryan Reynolds' face with really long hair. And it's like, hi, I'm Nicepool. And he starts saying all these things, like, he's being really nice, like kind, like funny, but nice funny, instead of the normal, like, crass humor funny that Deadpool has. And he's like, oh, you can borrow my ride. I'll get you there, yada, yada, yada. You can go meet some friends of ours, but you gotta give me back my dog. And he doesn't want to do it, but then he eventually has to. And then they see the car, and Deadpool starts making fun of the car and how much he hates it. So while they're driving their car from Nicepool, Wolverine starts giving his backstory, and he's like, Scott always wanted me to wear this outfit. Said it would make us part of a team, but I didn't want to do it. I wanted to be my own stupid loner self. And while I was off drinking, all of them, they got attacked, and they all died. And I wasn't there for them. I failed them. Failed Charles. And Deadpool says, yeah, well, don't worry. Once you save my universe, I'll do my best to try and save your universe. And he goes, try? You said you would. Look, it was an educated wish. You promised me. And they finally go at it. They have a full-on fight. They destroy almost all the windows of the car. The whole thing is bloody. It's a really good fight. And it doesn't even show the full fight. It cuts halfway through, showing that they just kept going at it for hours and hours. And then eventually it cuts to it's dark, and Wolverine is kind of passed out from all the energy he used. And then he tied up Deadpool in a bunch of seatbelts, and it shows them just kind of falling asleep inside the car until a pair of footprints walk in and drive them away. And then they wake up, and they're in this kind of sanctuary. And there we see Elektra, the actress who played Elektra from the Elektra movies, obviously older because she's a human. She aged. We see Wesley Snipes kind of de-aged through a bit of CGI, I think. Either that or he just looked really good, but he looked like a little CGI. As Blade from the old Blade movies. Channing Tatum as Gambit, and finally X-23 from the Logan film. And I love this. This is a callback to all the Fox films, the superhero films that they did that either got canceled or just didn't do very well. This made me happy, just being reminded of all these films that were made or didn't have their chance and finally get their chance to shine. And it made me so happy to see these characters who either had movies that didn't really do well because they had so many production issues, or the writing just wasn't there, or they were almost done, like in the case of Gambit, and then it never got released. It was nice to finally see these characters again on the big screen with a better writing team and directing team, and given full creative authority to more or less do what they wanted, except for they can't do cocaine in it. Kevin Feige said no cocaine. It was pretty funny. I liked it. And they're talking, and they say like, oh yeah, you know, it'd be nice to finally get our chance, but we've tried to fight her multiple times. We can't beat Cassandra. She's too strong. Well, what about stopping her mental powers? We could get a Magneto helmet. Yeah, there was a Magneto once. She killed him, and the helmet, she melted it. Of course she did. And the only other helmet that's that strong is the Juggernaut's, and he works for her. Well then, how about we go in there? We can go in there together, beat Juggernaut, we get the helmet, put it on her head, and then we'll be able to stop her. And they're like, it's a suicide mission, we can't do it. And Deadpool actually has a very good speech. I don't remember the full parts of his speech, but he basically says like, you know, you guys never had your time to shine. He's talking about the movies. They don't realize it's a movie, of course. They're just talking about like how they never had a chance to shine in their worlds. And he actually has a really good speech about, we will work together. You guys will finally have your shot. Then we'll stop Cassandra, save my world, and hopefully we can save Logan's. So after Deadpool convinces them, we go back to his universe where that one guy is making that machine to destroy his timeline. And he calls one of the minions that works for Cassandra, and he says, what is going on down there? Deadpool and Wolverine, they escaped. They're still alive. They're coming after you. They're going to try maybe make a deal with Cassandra or something, or use one of her powers, I bet, to get out of the void. What? No, you can't let that happen. We can't let her get out. Why do you think we put her there in the first place? That psycho girl. We can't let her out. Look, if you stop her and you kill her, then I'll get you out of the void. I'll let you go back to your own timeline. And this is like the climax, one of the climax action films of the movie. And while they're driving there, they're like, you know, there's a bunch of Deadpools, the Deadpool Corps. Nobody likes them. They're all annoying, except for that one weird guy with the long hair. And he's like, yeah, I met him. He has a cute dog, but I hate him though. And so they're driving, and they use a rocket launcher to blow up the hands that were being used as a gate. They get in, and it is such a cool action scene, all of them fighting them. And we get to see Gambit use his powers, Blade, Elektra, X-23, they beat up all of them, which I'm like, wait, if you were this good before, why were you ever worried about Cassandra? That was like the one thought that went through my head. But at the same time, I was like, it's such a good action scene. The action is so good in this. And Wolverine and Deadpool go up into the skull, and they fight Cassandra. She of course whips their asses because she's super strong. And while they're fighting, she knocks out Deadpool for a second and gets inside Wolverine's head. And we finally get to see why he's actually so upset and why everybody hates him in that universe. It's not just because he let the X-Men die. It's because after they died, he went into such a rage that he killed all the people who were involved in killing the X-Men. And then he went after good people too. People who liked X-Men, who were pro-mutants. He killed anybody he could. And by the time he got out of it, it made everybody hate mutants more than they had before. And that's why he hates himself, because it made everybody hate mutants even more than they hated them before the X-Men were killed, and they can't kill him. Nobody can kill him because he's Wolverine. And she's like, don't worry, I'll turn off all the voices, and then you'll be mine. You'll work for me. I got you. And he goes, no, I got you. And right when he says that, Deadpool puts the helmet on her, and it turns off her powers, all of her powers, all at once because it's such a powerful helmet. And then that minion earlier who betrayed her comes up and starts shooting her, and they have to decide, kill her and then try and hopefully find a way back in time, or save her and maybe she'll let them go back to their timeline. And she's like, no, I will definitely kill you. It's like, come on, we're gonna save your life. And Wolverine's the one who actually goes into his humanity, not his Wolverine side, and he's the one who convinced Deadpool, you gotta let her go. That's what a good person would do. We gotta save her. We can't just let her die. She might be the only way to save our own universes, our own lives. And so Deadpool takes her off, she heals, and she's like, you know, I would kill you right now, but I owe you for saving my life. There was once this wizard who came in here, this amateur. Didn't have much. He was easy to kill, but he did have this little trinket. And it's one of the sling rings from Doctor Strange. And Wolverine's like, what's that? And Deadpool goes, Marvel Sparkly Magic Portal. And they open it, they jump in the portal, and they're back in Deadpool's universe. And she wakes up her minion after they leave and goes, so, why did you betray me? Look, it was Mobius. He promised me. He promised he'd let me go back to my timeline. Please, you gotta believe me. I do. But it gives me an idea. And I think she kills him, I can't really remember. And they're talking there and they're like, we're gonna we'll try to save it. And then a portal opens up and first Nicepool comes in with Dogpool. He's like, oh, you beautiful girl, welcome back. And he's like, yeah, I'm not the only one who came in. And then all the other versions of Deadpool from the Deadpool Corps show up. Ladypool, Floating Deadpool Head. I didn't recognize all of them, but I recognize quite a few of them. I'm not gonna try and list them off. You'll see it in the movie. And Wolverine and Dogpool jump behind a car and they all pull out their guns and they start shooting and he blocks his body with Nicepool. And then they pull him behind the car and they pull him back. He's like, I think I've been shot. He's like riddled with bullet holes. And it's like, okay, don't worry. When does your regeneration kick in? He's like, regeneration? It's like, and of course, the most handsome looking Deadpool doesn't have regeneration. Regular Deadpool does, but Nicepool, no regeneration. He's like, oh, come on. And he pulls him. He goes back outside behind the car and keeps using him as a body shield, which is funny. And he's just using him to block all the bullets as he walks across. He's like, come on, you gotta come back. Don't let them kill you. Say I will survive. I will survive. Louder, louder. He goes, I will survive. I will. And then his head just blows up. And then Deadpool pulls him behind a hot dog cart and he starts giving him palpitations. And Wolverine sticks his head up and then they start shooting. He pulls it back down. And he goes, stop. And he holds up Dogpool and all of them stop. They won't kill Dogpool, which is great. And then he just walks across holding Dogpool. They don't even, just regular walks across. They get behind there and he's like trying to save him. He's like, look. Couldn't save him. Oh no, how could this happen? And it's like, okay, we do this the hard way. And then it's Wolverine and Deadpool versus all the Deadpools. It's such a cool action shot, all the blood. They do such a good job of shifting that at some points I couldn't tell who was the Deadpool we were following and who the Deadpool wasn't we were following. Because I think it's just one shot. I don't think they do any edits, or if they do, it's not very noticeable. It's all almost done in one shot. And it's a really good action scene. It is one of the best action scenes in a comic book film that I have seen. It's very memorable. We got Deadpool's trying to shoot the main Deadpool. He's shooting them in the head. Bam, bam, bam. Wolverine's slashing the bullets, stabbing them. Just going, just violent. They get in a bus. They bloody up the whole bus. There's one Deadpool trying to run away, and Wolverine just pulls him down. And you just hear him going, ah, and you don't even see it. It's censored because all the blood on the windows. And then they beat them all up, and they're like, okay, now to get the TVA. And then all the Deadpools just start regenerating. He's like, God, darn it, how could this happen? Why is it Nicepool couldn't? And it's like, yeah, of course, the one Deadpool who can't regenerate is the one who actually looks good still. And right when they're about to fight him, this one weird looking kind of chonky Deadpool with like his gut hanging out and you can see his nutsacks and like pushing through his costume shows up and he's like, wait, that one's with me. And they're like, Peter? And he's like, you have a Peter? All Deadpools worship Peter. And they all just start going like, you can go now, Peter, Peter, Peter. They go downstairs and they find the guys working on the thing. And right before they get there, Cassandra shows up and she's like, thank you for building this. I'm going to use this, absorb its powers, and then I'll delete any timeline I want. I'll delete them all. And then the only thing will be the void, because I loved in the void. That was my home. But you ruined it, Mobius. So now I'll ruin you. And so she hooks herself up to the machine and starts absorbing its energy so she can destroy any timeline she wants. And Deadpool's like, how do we shut the thing down? You can't. You'd have to go down at the bottom. You'd have to take the two energy sides, the matter and the antimatter side, bridge the two energy sides together, and that would maybe overload the machine by overloading it with matter and antimatter at the same time, causing them to collide, destroying the machine and Cassandra at the same time. And he's like, okay, I'll do it. No, look, wait, even if you did that, it wouldn't work. You would be destroyed. You would be atomized down to your basic level. No healing factor could save you. You would disappear from existence. And then Wolverine says, no, I'll go down there. Nobody loves me in my timeline, but you have a family. I'll save them. That way you can live your life. And they're about to go down there. And then they open the door to the thing and Deadpool hits Wolverine on the head, pulls him in, closes the door behind him, and he's like, I gotta save them. And he breaks the thing open, he pulls out the blue wire, and he's pulling it, he's trying to reach, and he can't even reach the halfway, and they're like, he's not gonna make it. And then we see Wolverine's arm come and grab him in the bro handshake, like that, and he's trying to reach for the tube, and he can't quite reach it, and then he just goes, swing, and it hits into the tube, and then the power goes through both of them. They create the bridge, and we see from the main TVA, because they found out what was happening, because so much weird stuff was happening on their sensors. We see it's about to be itemized down to 1%, and then 2%, 3%, 4%, and she's like, what? No, Cassandra. It's like, no, and then it overloads, and it atomizes her, and then we see the head of the TVA come in, and they're talking to Mobius, and he's like, I tried to stop her. It wasn't me. And then my good friends, Wolverine and Wade, Logan and Wade, they came in, and they sacrificed themselves. I tried to do what was best for them. I told them not to do it, but they said it was the only way. And then we hear Deadpool's voice, and he's like, nice try, bucko. See, if one of us did it, it would have atomized us. But two of us, two healing factors, we both survived. They're like, God damn it, I'm just doing what you guys are too scared to do. And they immediately arrest him. And like, good job, Wade. And look, you fixed everything. You brought a Wolverine into your universe. And it shows that his timeline is no longer dying. And it's like, good job. I'll let this pass this one time because you might have saved the entire multiverse, but don't do it again. And Wade and Logan are talking. He's like, I don't think we'll see each other again. Wait, actually, one more thing, Wade. And they go back to his apartment, and not just him. So it shows Deadpool, Wolverine, all the friends with again, plus Elektra, X-23, Gambit, and Blade. They're all hanging out, and they're now his new family. He's like, you just got to realize it's not about what you need, it's about who you need in your life. And these people, I will always do what I can for them. And it's such a good story. It was so much fun. I loved the way it ended. And then we get a mid-credit scene, which I thought was really great. It's just showing clips from the other movies, like from the Blade movies, the Elektra movie, a bunch of the different X-Men films. And it's not showing actually like any scenes from the movie themselves, maybe a couple, but mostly it's showing the behind the scenes of them like hanging out, talking. It was a really good film. I loved it. I love them showing how much passion these people had into putting these works, even though they didn't do great, even though they failed at the box office, even though audiences didn't love them, they enjoyed working on them. And I think ultimately that's what mattered. And it was nice that they saved that footage. And it was really, I think it was a good end to Deadpool. I kind of hope this is the last Ryan Reynolds Deadpool, not because I'm getting sick and tired of him, but I think this is a great way to end his story. Maybe bring them back in the next Avengers, which will most likely happen because you know why. Other than that, I thought it was really great. It was really fun. Tell me what you thought down in the comments, and thanks for watching. This has been another rambly ADHD review. Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the video. If you liked that video, click that like button and consider subscribing. It really helps a lot. Also on the left is a video YouTube thinks you'll like, and on the right is a playlist of mine you might be interested in. Thanks again for watching, and remember, don't believe in yourself, believe in me, who believes in you.